while I was a supervisor, and we tweaked it, much like the city of Big Bear Lake did. So we're looking at that and going through that process. And when it is a land use process, it begins with the Planning Commission. And so on March 3rd, the Planning Commission just held a public hearing. It is a hot topic that my office hears an awful lot about, but unfortunately we had fewer than 50 people come out and speak on the topic. And it was about equally split, which is half of them for, half of them against, or troubled with the impact that it has in our residential neighborhoods. That process will continue. There was a draft ordinance that I will share with you what came out of the Planning Commission here and their recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. And sometime later this spring, within the next couple of months, the Board of Supervisors will hear that draft ordinance, and then the public will have an opportunity to come and speak, to testify. We have remote centers in the desert areas as well as our main chambers in San Bernardino. You're provided 3 minutes. You can also submit written comments, and that will be very, very important to have your voices and your concerns heard. What the Planning Commission is currently recommending, which may or may not be adopted in its entirety, are the following, and I'm going to read them here. They are recommending prohibiting permits from being transferred to new owners. They would like to require the permits to be renewed every year instead of every 2 years. They are reducing the occupancy cap within a vacation rental from 20 to 12. They would like to reduce the per bedroom occupancy and prohibit living rooms, dens, and other living areas from being counted towards occupancy. Occupancy and available parking now go hand in hand to keep cars from occupying residential streets in the new draft ordinance. This also tightens parking restrictions and requires owners to remove snow and other obstacles that could result in renters parking on streets. It imposes a 2-night required stay on weekends, and still 1 nights during the week. So that could get a little confusing and difficult to manage, so we're looking at that. It implements a good neighbor program that requires hosts to educate renters on how to be respectful. And we are also requiring hosts to address any reported issue within 30 minutes. Requires hosting platforms such as Airbnb or Vacation Vrbo to have the permit for the vacation rental to be listed on the site, and that will hopefully cut down on non-permitted vacation rentals. And at my request, Land Use Services has created a website. We've discussed the pros and cons of posting on rental properties. It is helpful to neighbors to know where to call, but it also takes away from the residential bill. So it would seem to me that in the advent of technology in today's day and age that we could be smarter than that. And so they have created a website that allows neighbors the ability to look up existing short-term rentals to see exactly how many cars are allowed to be parked there, how many people are permitted to be on the property, and to file a complaint directly from that website if you believe that they are not meeting their permitted. So I do have information that I can read to you on a hotline to call and the website. Better than that though is at the back table where you came in, we have printed cards with all of this information that I will be referencing tonight so that you can grab it, you can have that hotline, have the website, and it will be an easy reference for you. And there is also a new website coming that will be launched dedicated to providing education to renters and hosts and neighbors, and then there will soon be an app that follows. And all of that is to say that it is a residential neighborhood that we all live in, that our kids walk to school buses to and from, and that we have neighbors that we want to respect. And so the theory, both with the city of Big Bear Lake and the county at this point, is if we have proper enforcement and responsible hosts, that it should not be an impactful use that takes place in the residential neighborhoods. And so that is my hope, that we can get to that. The county has been a little bit late to the table with regard to their enforcement, which I'll talk about in a minute. But for all of this to work, I need folks that are passionate about it on both sides to come to the Board of Supervisors meeting to have their concerns heard. Whether that is saw somebody in the back shaking their head on the 1 night minimum stay, that might be a problem. Please come and share your views with us. I have a thing with noise. I don't want to hear it. It might not be too loud enough to call the sheriff's department, but it's louder than what it would be if we had a traditional neighbor living next to us. So one of the ideas that we've had, and the city of La Quinta does this, is their hosts have noise monitors. And they're in the house, both inside and outside, and when it gets above a certain level, the management company is notified. And so that is something that is not in the draft ordinance, but that I would like to see. So if that's something that is of interest to you, come and share it with the full board. Remember, it takes 3 supervisors to make policy at the county level. So it's not just me, even though I have the lion's share of vacation rental popular areas. And as soon as that meeting, we know the date of it, which will likely be probably May or June, my office will put that out on our social media. There's a newsletter that we send out that I will have you hopefully subscribe to get more information on all of this. And so as far as code enforcement goes in vacation rentals, we do need more resources, and we have added them. So there are 5 new positions that were recently approved for the vacation rental team within code enforcement, and they are in the process of filling those. There is 1 administrative supervisor, 3 land use service technicians, and 1 office assistant who will join the existing team. The new positions will follow code enforcement officers and spend more time out in the field conducting investigations and following up on complaints. That is probably the biggest thing. When you have something that you are frustrated with, that you want to complain about, that is impacting you, take the picture, document it, and make sure it gets reported to code enforcement. My office, I was shocked that we had very few. The stats here are in 2021, the code enforcement team for vacation rentals did 116 enforcement actions in the Big Bear area, and 61 citations were issued. So that seems crazy to me, because that's probably a daily call that I get on frustrations with residents. So we've learned that we have almost enabled residents by doing that. We need to redirect you to code enforcement, because code enforcement really had no idea that this problem existed.